McCarthy Insurance Group, serving the community for over 70 years. For home, farm, motor, life, health and business insurance, log on to mig.ie or free phone 1800 50 11 11. Probably your best call in 2024. Charles McCarthy Insurance is trading as McCarthy Insurance Group, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio. The multi-award-winning Niall Boylan Show.
Driving at the age of 16 years of age. Is it a good idea, really, to be reducing the age of everything? Because we understand, or well, scientists say that we're not actually adults till we're 25. The brain doesn't mature properly till you're 25 years of age. But the age limit for most things is 18 years of age in this country. 17 is the age of consent. They want to reduce that to 16. 18 is the age for drinking. They wanted to reduce that to 16 not so long ago as well. 18 is the age of voting. They suggested reducing that to 16. Now the latest thing from the European Union is they want to reduce the age for driving to 16 years of age. So, is it really right? Now, there are arguments for it and against it. The argument for it is, like some countries in the world, for example, like Canada, many children learn to drive in school. They'll do 10, 12 hours of driving lessons before they leave secondary school. And by the time they leave secondary school, they have a driver's license. And the roads could be safe for them because they know how to drive from a very young age. And they pick up a lot of good stuff at a young age. Children obviously are like sponges. The argument against it is they're not mature enough to make adult decisions. And you have a huge responsibility. We all know for a fact when we're younger, we drive like maniacs. A lot of us do. Because we feel less responsibility when we're younger. I know when I was younger, I was a lunatic on the road. It actually embarrasses me. I'm ashamed of what I did. I genuinely am. I was stopped, and I don't mind admitting this, I was stopped driving from Drogheda to Dublin one night on the main road, on the old main road, because there was no M1 at the time. And I was in an old BMW. It was a BMW 535 at the time. It was an old one. It wasn't like an expensive one or anything like that, but it was fast. And I was stopped at 145 miles per hour by a guard. I used to drive motorbikes. I used to race motorbikes. I used to drive through Fairview at the age of 18 on a motorbike at 90 miles an hour. It was ridiculous. I was like on a death wish. My mother was terrified. And we know that young drivers, unfortunately, are involved in most of the accidents. So why would we want to get into a situation where they're even younger driving on the road? Now, I know they have suggested that if they do this, the cars would have to be adapted with a speed limiting device. But you know as well as I do, there's ways around those devices. So I want to know if you think it's a good idea. There's pros and there's cons. Should we reduce the legal age for driving to 16 years of age? Let me go to Morris. You can text us or WhatsApp us on 087 188 0008. Morris, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Morris?
Evening, how are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, Morris. Loud and clear.
That's great. Thanks a lot. It's good to hear from you. I don't think it's a good idea. No, because I'll tell you why. I knew how to drive from a younger age than that. And that was through, what would you say, in my youth? Joyriding. Stolen cars, right?
Right, yeah.
What happened was I got sense and I grew up and I went into the army at 18. And I was shown how to drive properly. And I was shown how to drive with responsibility and with respect. And one of the things I'll never forget, an army officer told me, and a sergeant, he said, if you give the keys of a car to somebody who's not going to be responsible or is too young, you might as well hand them a loaded gun because they're going to kill somebody. Never left me, stuck with me all through my life. Mm-hmm. And as I put my kids through the driving, I'm telling you now, I said, if you don't drive this car properly or you misbehave, you're going to kill somebody and you're going to be responsible for ending somebody's life. And it is like giving a loaded gun to a young person.
Yeah, when you put it like that, you are right, because children don't, when I say children, teenagers, and they are children, teenagers.
How old were you when you said you were reckless driving? Were you 19, 20, 18?
18, 19 years of age. But here's the thing.
16-year-old.
My father let me drive his car at 16 down the beach. Do you remember you'd be brought down to the beach and he'd let you drive his car on the beach? You know, when I was 16 years of age, he taught me how to drive. Now, wouldn't have been allowed to drive on the road, obviously, but he did teach me how to drive. And the first car I ever drove in was my brother-in-law let me drive his car, and it was a Renault 4, the one with the gear stick on the dashboard.
Oh, on the dashboard, yeah, that's right. I remember them.
Yeah. So that was the first car I ever drove, and the second car I would have drove was my dad's Ford Escort.
And I'll tell you what we learned as kids, right? There was one of our guys that used to paddle around with us in a gang, and he realised that the key from a forklift would open the door and start the Renault 4. I think
with the greatest respect, in those days, I think a screwdriver would have started the Renault 4.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, but I suppose, Morris,
came into it.
the argument is, Morris, is that if we teach them at a younger age, maybe they'll be more responsible. Because we're just letting them loose at 17 or realistically 18 years of age by the time they actually get a license. We're just letting them loose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. But to be honest with you, though, if you think about the society that we live in today, right, and the way young kids are treated and the way they're looked upon as second-class citizens, in my opinion. They're not given the respect that they need and deserve. But I'll tell you one outlet in this country that would be rubbing their hands if the government dropped the age to 16. Insurance companies.
Oh, of course they would.
How old are you? 16. There's my licence.
$3,000.
You have no experience. There's 7,500 for third-party fraud and theft.
No. In fairness to the insurance companies, they do deals now for young drivers for teaching them to drive. I know one or two of the insurance companies do a deal where you get the 12 lessons and you get 6 months insurance on your parents' car for I don't know, $1,000. And that's not expensive. I mean, Morris, I don't know if you remember your first car insurance. My first car insurance was £1,800. You know what I mean? So insurance really hasn't gone up much.
I tell you, I remember my first private car insurance because I was on a fleet insurance, right? You know, a company vehicle.
Of course, yeah.
I was on a fleet insurance, and they didn't recognise that. So when I came out and bought my own car, and I says, "Well, there you go."
Yeah, you were back to square one. Yeah.
They said, "Oh, we've no record of you. You might as well be on nothing. You might as well be on the planet." Fleet insurance doesn't stand in the insurance company. The only thing I got when I left the army was a full license, a D license. I can drive buses, I can drive 40 foots, I can drive anything. The only thing I can't drive is a motorbike.
Yeah.
I have to do a separate test for that, right? But the insurance company, like you said, nailed me. Oh, sure. That 14 years you have driving a van or vehicles in your company, that doesn't stand for anything. That's fleet insurance. There's no...
So how much was your first insurance then, your first private insurance?
Oh, jeez, I think it was £1,400.
That's what I'm saying. If a kid is being charged $2,000 nowadays, in retrospect, that's euro.
That was third-party fraud and theft.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. So insurance really hasn't gone up that much. My father had a thing with Cornhill Insurance at the time, and it was called an open policy. They don't do them anymore. And that meant that he could let anyone drive his car, even if they weren't insured in another car. Nowadays, you can drive somebody else's car if you have your own insurance as well. But even if they weren't insured, you could drive his car. Yeah. It was an open policy. Actually, we're going to get back to the topic. Sorry, Eamon, stay there, Morris. Eamon, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. Eamon, Morris thinks it's too young. Let them be kids and wait till the right age. They only have to wait another year or two.
No, they should be allowed to drive at 16 without a shadow of a doubt.
Why?
For a number of reasons. Well, number one, he mentioned there it's like giving them a loaded gun. Is Morris aware that at 16 years of age you can drive a tractor with a silage container at the back of it? How many accidents happen with that a year? Practically zero. A car is far more safer.
Yeah, but generally 16-year-olds driving tractors are not driving them through towns, or they're not driving them in traffic. You know what I mean? There's a bit of a difference. They're driving them on rural roads.
Country roads, yeah.
Yeah, from one farm to the other, generally speaking. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they might drive to the marsh into town. There's that to kind of consider, but there's also a lot of social reasons as well. Rural Ireland has no proper infrastructure. 16-year-olds are getting dropped to car training by their mom, their dad. They might visit their nan, whatever, I don't know, every week or so. If they had a car, they could do all that. They could be a lot more independent. They could go out and get a job without relying on mom and dad to be dropped in places.
Mm-hmm.
This whole argument of young drivers, 16, you're more or less an adult. What's another year or two?
Where do you draw the line? Will we say that about alcohol? Will we say that about sex? Will we say that about everything that we have an age limit for? But we have an age limit for a reason.
you're going to put a box into the car. That'll obviously monitor the speed or whatever. That's going to keep them accountable. That's going to keep them under the speed limit, keep them from doing dangerous manoeuvres. I'm well aware of those boxes. I used to have one years back in my own policy, right?
Yeah.
But I was in 2 crashes in my life now. Okay, 2. And both of them were from women over 65. Both of them. And both times my car was driven off. And both times they were in the wrong and I was in the right. I've never had any bad experiences with young drivers.
That's anecdotal, Eamon. You may not have had, but unfortunately for young drivers, the statistics hold true, and young drivers are responsible for more accidents. That's just a fact of life. That's just a statistic. We can't do anything about that. I understand your personal experience hasn't been that way.
Yeah.
But that's just the statistic.
Yeah. And but currently there's the vast majority of people don't have these boxes into their car. So, fair enough, young drivers may cause more accidents, but if this box is put in, I imagine that quite a lot of them are going to be, obeying the rules of the road, because if they aren't, their premium will be cancelled and they'll be off the road.
Morris, is that not a fair point? Yeah. They have suggested at 16 they'll have to have this box in the car which will monitor their speed. Now, I know the boxes already exist for some insurance companies, but would that not make it safer, Morris?
I don't know, because you have people qualifying to be full-time drivers now, and then they're on the M plates for 2 years. They're a novice, and they can't go here or they can't go there. And then you have the L drivers who need a full-time driver in beside them. But I'll give you an example, Niall, a case that stuck with me over the years, and it was on your show, about a learner driver that went out without the person sitting beside him.
That was the reason we brought in the legislation, yes.
And they killed the mother and the daughter.
That's right.
They hit the car into a ditch and they drowned.
Yeah.
At Christmas time. And that man who lost his wife and his daughter got the law changed. Now, if you have somebody that's going out on their own, thinking that they know it all, who was older than 16, and they caused the death of 2 people, and the thing that shocked me was the judge put that person off the road for 15 years, and they felt hard done by, and they appealed it after killing 2 people.
Yeah, but nobody. With respect, and by the way, can I again? I'm trying to at the Clancy Amendment, I think it was called. Can I just say, in relation to the people or anybody who has died at the hands of another driver, nobody sets out to kill somebody. Generally speaking, unless you're a drink driver, then you're an idiot, right?
It's all about responsibility.
Absolutely. But
taking responsibility.
And I'm not saying I have sympathy for the person who did it. I'm just saying nobody sets out to do that.
Here's my case of give somebody something that they can't handle. It's like giving them a loaded gun, and there's my case proven. They killed 2 people through irresponsibility.
That's with respect to that story. That is a red herring story, and it's obviously a horrible.
But no, it's not a red. I wouldn't describe it as a red herring story. No, with respect, that particular story changed the law in this country.
Exactly.
Well, no, that's
because the man that lost his wife and his daughter went to court and got it changed.
Yes. Sorry, Eamon. Finish what you're saying.
No red herring. You have to have. You need a full license. Let's say if this does go through, obviously, if that 16-year-old is driving, they will have to have passed their driving test and have a license. Therefore, they're not going to be a learner driver. They'll be a fully qualified, qualified driver with a license. They'll understand the rules of the road. They'll have a box in the car that will hold them accountable. So hopefully nothing like that will ever have to happen again if rules are followed. They will have a license. They will have passed their driving test. They will be a fully competent driver.
People that are qualifying for full-time licenses now are on a novice for 2 years. They don't get their full. They qualify, and they said, "Well, you have to drive on an M plate for 2 years." Now, that's the way it is. So you should be able to put a 16-year-old on a novice plate for 4 years.
By the way, can I just on a side issue? See these novice plates? I think they're ridiculous. I think you have an L plate, when you're obviously learning to drive. Fair enough. So other drivers are cautious of the fact that you have an L plate. When you get your license, this idea that you have to have an N in your window, or if you're driving a motorbike, you have to bear a big N on your back. I think it's you might as well put the word dope on the back. You know what I mean? or idiot, or I just don't understand the logic behind that. I think it's silly.
Niall, you're right. It's an Irish law to an Irish situation.
Well, they do it in England as well. They have reserve drivers. Anyway, but hang on. Let me just bring David as well. By the way, just statistically, can I point out, while 9% of drivers on the road are learners, only 5.8% of fatal crashes involve learner drivers. On average, 12 learners are involved in fatal crashes every year, and 10 are unaccompanied. That compares to 2 in the north, where in 2016 they reported no learner or unaccompanied driver accidents involved in fatal crashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So it's just to give you the stats on that in relation. So,
But, Niall,
by
is
the
there
way,
any
it just
other
goes to show you
country-
that people are still breaking the law and they're still
Yeah,
driving without
exactly.
the unaccompanied
Yeah,
drivers.
exactly. And that's
Is there any other country in the world now that where you can fail your driving test and then drive home?
No, I think Ireland is quite unique. But hang on, let me go to Dave. You get a certificate of incompetency and you drive home. Sorry, Dave, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Dave?
Sorry, folks.
How you doing, Dave? Nice talking to you again.
What's the crack?
16 years of age, driving a car. How old were you, Dave, when you drove a car?
I didn't start driving until I was, I think, 20. No. 19, I think.
Okay. All right. So, and do you think we should reduce it to 16?
Well, I'd be like that other guy, what was his name? Eamon. Like, I live in rural Ireland. I see 16-year-olds driving tractors, pulling, like, slurry tanks with 2,600 gallons of shit behind them. And
common sense.
there's never, I don't think I've ever heard of any of them having an accident. Like, I mean, the lads out in the fields until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, drawing in all the silage to feed the cows that we all enjoy having our steaks from. Most of them are 16 years old or 17 years old, you know. And
But I've no issue with a 14-year-old doing that. Do you understand me? Because they're farmers,
Yeah, but see,
and
no,
they're
but-
raised
no,
by
but see,
farmers,
here-
and
no.
from a young age. But
No,
hold on,
no, they're not.
we're talking about driving in traffic here, Dave.
No, but just listen to me for a second, right? They're not just farmers. It's not just like the stereotypical slurry heads driving machinery since they're old enough to do it. It's young fellas, it's GA young fellas, it's young fellas from housing estates, it's young fellas from towns, it's young fellas from cities. It's a great way for them to earn money during the summertime, and they do drive them through towns and cities and stuff. I know boys who used to go to GA training or go to Mass, and they drive up in the tractor because they were allowed to do it.
Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
Sean, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Sean?
Hiya, Sean. Hello.
No, yeah, you're Sean. I'm Niall.
Sorry, I was talking to the other guy there. Look, Niall, here's the thing, and I want to say this to you, Niall. It is, look, I've seen a lot of people, and there's a lot of friends of mine down in the country, and I'm going to bring you back to the tractors. I know you've heard it already, but you keep saying, Niall, that they're not in traffic. Niall, these are in busy towns every day of the week. They're driving tractors with, a lot of gears that they're, they crush a car in 2 minutes. And they have the experience to drive one of these bad guys. Now, I'm going to ask you, Niall, how many of your guys there that have to be on the line there tonight knows how to drive one of these bad boys? Nobody. Not even me. Not even any of my family.
But that's not a reason to legalise something. Like, for example, loads of people drink when they're 16 years of age, drink alcohol. But I still wouldn't agree with lowering the drinking age to 16. I think you have to have a guideline. If you start lowering the age of everything, it just gets silly. They're also talking about lowering the age for voting, lowering the age of consent, lowering the age for alcohol, lowering the age for this. I mean, what, will it be 14 next year, the year after or something? Do you understand? Where does it stop?
No. There is a fine line, of course, to driving, and you see it in America there, and they do a very good job of what they do in America now. And what they do is, they teach it in the schools, the classes, and they have it to a T. And it should be done here now.
I don't disagree with that. And I do believe that children should, when I say children, teenagers, should get, 10 hours, it should be part of education to get 10 hours of driving or theory testing and everything else. Absolutely. I wouldn't disagree with that. But I'm talking about allowing people to drive on the roads. I just don't see the logic. I don't think it's necessary to reduce it. Sorry, Dave, you're back again, Tractor Man.
What's the crack? Tractor man.
There's two tractor men on the air. Two tractor men on the air now. Dave, have you ever driven a tractor, by the way?
I've tried.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's easy to drive a tractor.
Scared the shit out of me. But see here, like, this was my point.
Sean
right?
is agreeing with you, by the way, with your tractors.
We have 16-year-olds, right? Like, some of the newer tractors, you're talking, it's €170,000 piece of equipment. Like, sitting in one of these yokes is like sitting at the helm of the Starship Enterprise. There's so much shit going on in them, right? And my point was, if we're trusting them to drive stuff like that with a slurry tank or a bale trailer behind them with a front loader on it, loaded up to the tonsils, not just driving from one field to another now. There are roads down the country. I know you city folk forget that from time to time. But what I'm saying is, the proof is kind of in the pudding there. They're being trusted to do stuff like this. Now, I don't mean like, hey,
but your focus is on rural Ireland here. The majority of the people don't live in rural Ireland.
We see, here's the thing though, the net benefit here is for rural Ireland. Rural Ireland doesn't exactly have the best public transport infrastructure, and it probably never will, because it'd be a waste of money, to be honest with you, But what I'm saying is, like, it's not like you're saying, right, you're 16 years old, here's your license, and here's your Nissan Skyline. Obviously, like, you're not going to be driving around unaccompanied at 16 years old. But at the very least, if you can get your license at 16, you could be a fully qualified driver at 17. The worst drivers I meet on the road are not young drivers. They're either very elderly drivers or arseholes in BMWs and Mercedes or big white vans who think they're better than everybody else.
Yeah,
So
I'll do something about it. I'm going to do something about my BMW. But go on, Sean, yes.
Can I just say something there, Niall? Okay. Now, look, we love driving in our family. I've been given the gift of driving from my father, Niall. And I passed it on to my son, and I'm going to pass on to my daughter very shortly when she turns the age, Niall. And genuinely what that guy just said there. Now, Niall, my son, he's 21 now. I haven't driving since he's 17, Niall. Mm-hmm. And I was with Cornmarket myself, Niall. I think you mentioned that yourself.
Yeah.
Now, Niall, I had a Ford Mondeo at that time, Niall. And I was able to put him on my insurance, thank God. And he was obviously a second driver on my policy, Niall. Now, even as a provisional licensed driver, Niall. Now, what really annoyed the feck out of me when the policy ended, because I had my missus on the policy as well, Niall. And we were going, look, just real quick, because I don't want to waste too much of your time. We were re-quoting our quote at the end of the year, and they turned around and they said, that's for you and herself there. And I said, well, you're not insured in the sun there. Oh no, we just stuck him on that policy there, just for a couple of months there. I said, but he didn't crash. I said, he didn't cause any.
I know, yeah.
And what we've done is, Niall, we jumped to AA. But this is what was my point is, Niall. He's been driving all the way up to 21 now, Niall. Now, there was learner plates, end plates we were talking about earlier on. One person said it there. I told him not to put any plates in the back of his windscreen. Now, he got a car at 18. I bought him a car, Niall, for his 18th birthday. And I bought him a Subaru Impreza. And I told him.
You bought him a Subaru Impreza at 18 years of age?
We did. Of course I did. Yes, we did. Because
would you not have bought him like a Fiesta or a Focus or something?
No, you're gonna go hard. You're gonna go home. And here's the thing, Niall.
I wouldn't find it in my heart to do that, because I'd be worried sick about him in it. Because the power in a car like that.
Not at all. You see, here's the fucking funny thing about it, Niall. You think that if you trust your son or your daughter not to act the bollocks, and sorry for the language, not to mess on the roads, and not to have his friends drinking or driving, which I could trust him. And see, now, you see, the difference has paid off now, Niall. Okay, you got, run down by the guards a few times, and where's your this plate, what's your that plate, and,
Well, I know, because I know cars like that are a magnet for the police, and I understand why,
absolutely.
By the way. Yeah.
But the thing about it is, Niall, he's driving a very souped-up car at the moment. He's getting cheap insurance. They just need a break. Not every young lad or young girl.
No, I know. My own son drives very fast cars. He's 26 now. He's been driving them since he was 20. And he loves fast cars. He has an M5. He has a good job. He pays for it himself. And I'm delighted for him. And I think he's responsible enough in those cars. And you are right. They just need a little bit of time to prove themselves. But unfortunately, the stats say different, Sean and Dave. The stats show us clearly that young drivers are involved in more accidents because they don't have the same level of responsibility that we would have as we get older. I know what I was like as a young fella. I was a nut job. You know what I mean?
But do you not think if we try to get it into them while they're a bit younger, it's kind of like, do you ever meet somebody whose parents were like, really strict with them, and then they've got the first bit of freedom and they went fucking berserk? Like, what if we got it into them at a young age? Like, I'm talking about, like, we do it through school, or, you know what I mean? You have driving schools set up or something like that, and like, you're restricted until, say, the age of, I don't know, 8. Like, we'll give you decent insurance, but you're restricted until the age of 18 to like a 1.2 or 1.4 small car. You have the box in and stuff like that. Nobody's saying, like, let's give every 16-year-old a driving license and let them away, because that's just fucking dumb. You know what I mean? But if you get them while they're younger.
Okay, hang on both of you a second, because I want to bring Dermot in as well on this. Dermot, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. Dermot, the European Transport Safety Council have said absolutely no. They're urging the European Commission to drop this idea, but they seem to be motoring ahead, pardon the pun.
Yeah. No, I totally disagree. I mean, I was driving around Dublin, not the countryside or anything, at 14. Now, we shouldn't have been, but we were.
No, you shouldn't have been. No, clearly not. What year was that, Dermot?
That would have been the 70s, 73 or somewhere around that then.
Yeah. So you didn't even have your face or your date of birth on a driver's license in those days? You
I
know?
had nothing.
Yeah.
I just, a friend of mine, his uncle left to go abroad so we could use his car. You know, not officially, we just used it.
Isn't it bizarre, by the way, when you look back? I'm like yourself, Dermot. You know, when I was younger, driving a motorbike, we did some daft things. But here's the thing: but nobody had a picture. The driver's license didn't actually have a picture of you on it, and it didn't have a date of birth.
Just a piece of cardboard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But no, I mean, when I lived in Spain and France, that they kids at 14 are allowed to drive around on 50cc motorbikes, which they hot up. I mean, they can do nearly 60 mile an hour on them, but they're not supposed to do more than, I think, 30 mile an hour. But the kids soup them up, and they get some queer speeds out of this 50cc. But I mean, I don't understand this logic in Ireland. The younger, and in America, they're driving big cars at 16. You know, and the driving licenses, you basically go down to the centre and you do the test, and
off you
normally
go.
most people pass. They do it in high school. So
yeah, but I would like to see the statistics on, you know, casualties and fatalities, you know, per head of population for young people in America versus young people in Ireland. And I'm going to hazard a guess that there's more accidents in America than there is here.
No, actually, believe it or not, I looked into this whole subject because Shane Ross organised that we could get all the statistics.
Did you have to mention his name on the air? Sorry, go on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, he was Minister for Transport.
Oh, I know, yeah, but he didn't. But he didn't have a car or a driver's license.
He didn't know. I didn't know about that. But what he did do was he made it that all the information about the accidents and the claims were transparent.
Yeah.
And we found out then that Ireland's accident rate was no worse than anywhere else in Europe. And it turned out that a lot of this thing about the young people wasn't correct. Yeah, they tend to do more small accidents. You know, maybe they slightly lose control and they.
But we have seen, Dermot, when there's massive tragedies involving numerous people in a car, it's usually young people, sadly, and we've seen, you know, groups of young people, maybe 5 or 6 of them in one car, tragically dying because they go out together and they have fun together, and I'm not taking that away from them. Sorry, Sean, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to say there, Noel. Okay, myself. Now, my father taught me how to drive at a very, very young age. I was driving cars when I shouldn't have been. I was 15, 16 years. You know, and my dad, he taught me well. And, you know, now, my son, as I was just talking about there a few minutes ago now, I taught him to drive when he was 15, 16. He knew what he was doing. And I was very happy with him. And I brought him out to the likes of Dollymount Strand. Hold on for a minute now. I brought him to Dollymount Strand. I brought him out to the Phoenix Park. He had well handling that car when he was 16. And he knew how to handle a car very well at the end of 16. But we were doing it illegally. And the reason why we were doing it illegally, because we couldn't. And this law should be passed straight away to drop the age straight away, because my son has a good very head and shoulders how to drive a car. And I believe that kids in Ireland do have. And I really, really, really think if you let that age gap go down at least a year, these kids have a year more to learn how to drive. Because, you know, they're not that stupid. I think a lot of people are underestimating the kids of Ireland towards the kids in America. You know, we need to do what we need, and we need to do it fast and very, very fast, you know. And these kids need to do this, and they need to be brought into school as well. I keep saying that, Noel, straight away, you know. And the fact of the matter is, if my son had been driving at 16, he'd be now at least 5 years on the road. Like, you know, it's crazy what's happening, like, you know.
Yeah, but let me just go back to Dermot. Dermot, you know, we're talking about reducing the age of everything nowadays. It's not just driving. And okay, I can see Sean's point and Dave's point and everybody else in relation to driving, right? And maybe it might not be such a bad thing to learn how to drive younger. But, you know, because it gives them more experience as they get older, makes them more responsible. But we're talking about reducing the age for voting, reducing the age for drinking, reducing the age of consent for sex. We're talking about reducing the age for everything. I mean, you can't just keep doing that. It's not good for society.
I know. I mean, we can't start mixing up driving with all the other subjects. I'm quite adamant that I've traveled a lot, been in a lot of countries. I mean, I know countries where I've seen 12-year-olds driving cars. And in Australia, you can get a special license because of distances. 12-year-olds are allowed to drive from their school to their house with the car and bring the younger kids with them. And they've been doing that for years now, and there's never been an issue. So the evidence is not there that 16 is, you know, most countries will allow driving at 16, and a lot of kids are driving a lot sooner than that.
Perfect.
I mean,
Perfect. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, well, hang on. I want to go to one more caller here because I don't have much time left. I've literally a minute left. And I think it's Edgar. Edgar, who's actually in Texas at the moment.
Yes.
Edgar, hi, how are you?
Correct. I'm just fine. How you doing?
Good. So you're listening in Texas as we speak?
Yeah, well, I'm listening to exercise. I'm at the gym, believe it or not.
Okay, well, that's good to know, isn't it? So, Edgar, give us your take on what they do in the United States. So in the United States, you can drive at 16 years of age, yes?
Oh, correct. I mean, you technically can drive at 15. I told my son to drive at 15, and he drives for a year. At 16, he applies for his license. He passes his license. He gets to drive. He does himself to school, to work, whatever he needs to do. Now, there's another issue here where you talk about age. You know, here in America, when I visited your country 2 years ago and I drove in your country, motorways are great.
Mm-hmm.
But when you move to the other roads, boy, to me, they were a little scary. I got to tell you the truth.
Yeah, some of the old back roads in Ireland aren't the best, to be honest with you. No, they're not great.
Correct. Well, I had to drive to Limerick and stuff like that. There's a couple of times where I just stop. I said, you go ahead. I have to stop.
I'm not going to get past you here, yeah. But mind you, if you go to some of if you go, into some of the southern states in America, there's a lot of dodgy roads there too. They're not all interstates, Anyway, but Edgar, I mean, from your experience and what you see of young drivers in America, and, obviously in America, they have much more powerful cars, they're bigger engines, etc., etc. I mean, do you think there's more accidents?
Well, there's another issue you were talking about here where the accidents with younger kids. They do happen. My son had an accident where he actually backed up to somebody, and I asked him, how'd you do that? Do you have a camera looking back? Do you have a sensors that tells you? It happens. But also they have different laws where if you're under the age of 18, you cannot have more than 3 passengers under the age of 18 with you at one time.
Okay, well, that's a good idea.
Different issues.
Yeah. And is there a limit under the age of 18? Is there a limit on the size of the engine you can use?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Is there a limit on the size of the engine that you can have in your car under the age of 18?
Oh, no, you don't. I mean, you have high school kids at 16 driving Mustangs 5.0s.
Oh, okay, all right. And what about insurance? Is insurance expensive for young people?
Insurance. It is kind of expensive. I told my son they got 2 rules. Right? He's 23 right now. He just graduated from the uni. I'm still paying for his insurance. And I told him, you get tickets, you pay for them. You get a wreck, you get one free. The second one, you have to work and pay for your own insurance. And just finally,
Edgar, how much would it cost for an 18-year-old, roughly, to get insurance?
So I have 4 cars. My son drives one, my daughter drives another one, and I drive one. My wife does the other one, and it costs me about €1,500 every 6 months.
For the whole lot of you, for every one of you, for all of you.
What is it?
Is that 1,500 every 6 months for all of you?
Yeah, for all of us.
Oh wow, that's
but
good.
I have high deductibles.
Yeah.
I got about €750 deductible if something happens.
Okay, that's pretty good. Listen, Edgar, nice talking to you. Get back to work in the gym there, all right?
Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.